Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. It's me, Dave. It's been a while. Just been going through a lot of things, and but I wanted to do a video here today for to discuss my hearing loss and my journey towards the Cochlear implant. So I'm hoping that this, if you're somebody who suffers from single-sided deafness like I do, that maybe this video will give you some information, because when I was going through everything, it was kind of hard to find some information out there. So I just wanted to go tell everybody my experience. You know, everybody has a different experience, but this was mine. So yeah, so my journey started back in, what was it, June of 2021. I had some problems hearing out of my left ear. So I went to the ear doctor. I was getting all kinds of like weird noises, and just like it was a lot of popping, and it was just really weird. And I've had a lot of ear problems throughout my life, but nothing like this. So I went to the ear doctor, the ENT, and he looked in there and he says, "Yeah, you got water behind the ear, and your ears are pretty bad." Because I've had a problem ever since I was little. I would suck in my nose to suck in my eardrums. I would sniff and I would suck in my eardrums. For whatever reason, they felt more comfortable. Like when they would pop out, it was uncomfortable to me. So I would, sniff in and they would suck in, and over time that creates problems. So he told me I needed tubes. So he put tubes in my ears. And immediately after, when I woke up, he's the kind of doctor that puts people under sedation when he puts the tubes in. So when I woke up in the recovery room, I could tell my right ear, I could hear a little bit better out of it. But my left ear, it sounded like it was filled with cotton. I still couldn't hear anything. So I told him, and I told him before I left the hospital or the surgical center, I said, "Doc, I still can't hear anything out of my left ear very well." He says, "Well, it's probably swelling. Just give it some time to heal, and it should improve." Well, it never improved. So I went back to the doctor, and I told him, I said, "Look, I still don't have good hearing out of this ear. As a matter of fact, it's getting worse." And so he said, "Well, let's put you under the microscope." So he put me in another room and put me under the little microscope thing, and he says, "Well, it looks like you have what looks like a cholesteatoma in there." And I was like, "Cholesteatoma?" And I heard stoma, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, what is it, cancer?" But no, cholesteatoma is actually a collection of, I guess it's like a collection of skin cells and just all kinds of stuff that gets collected in your ear, and it turns into almost like a tumor type of thing. But it's not cancerous. But if it's not removed, it has an opportunity to, it will eat away at your the bones associated with hearing, and it can really cause a lot of problems. I've read some terrible horror stories online that people with cholesteatomas who didn't get them taken out soon enough, and they were allowed to just continue growing, they would actually eat through the bone into the brain. So I was like, I gotta, let's get this thing out. So we set up the schedule for me to get the cholesteatoma surgery. So on the day of the surgery, I had that done in 2020. I think it was around December of 2021. So from June to December of 21, I had the tubes, and then in December, he went in and he took out the cholesteatoma, and he said, well, we're going to give it time to heal, because sometimes they come back. So he said, we just need to make sure that we got it all out. He said, because sometimes if a little bit's left in there, then it'll start to regrow, and then you got to go in for another surgery, and they'll take the rest of it out, and then you're usually pretty good. It can always come back again, but usually it's pretty good after that. So I went in there, had the surgery. They cut all the way around my ear, had a big scar behind my ear, and because he had to get to it from behind my ear. Couldn't get to it from the inside the ear. They had to do it from behind the ear. So he took that out, and then he said, well, we're going to let it heal. I'm going to see you in a couple months. Let everything dry out, and we'll see what path we're going to take next. Because hopefully we can go in there and we can he can rebuild the ear, the middle ear, and maybe restore. He said he might be able to restore hopefully 80% of my hearing. So I was like, okay, well, that's better than none. I'll take it. So then a certain number of months go past. I go back to see him for the follow-up, and he says, well, good news is everything's looking good. He goes, it's not growing back, and everything's nice and dry. And I said, okay, so now what are we going to do about my hearing? Because I still couldn't hear. And he said, well, unfortunately, there's too much calcification on the inside of my ear that rebuilding it really isn't, I guess, possible. So I was really bummed at that. So I said, what am I going to have to do, wear a hearing aid? He says, yeah, that's probably going to be your best bet. And he was going over all the different kinds of hearing aids and blah, 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 blah. And I said, he's like, well, these ones are a little bit better, they're lower profile. And I'm like, well, I don't care what kind of hearing aid I get. I said, I just want to be able to hear. I don't care how it looks. So he sent me to the hearing aid place, and they gave me one to start with, and it was really bad. It was really terrible. I couldn't hear nothing. Well, I could hear everything sounded like it was like underwater through a tin can. It was like really, the quality was just horrible. Everything was screechy. It was just terrible. So I took it back. I said, look, I can't, this isn't working. So he went over my options, and he did some more tests on me and everything. And he's like, well, if the type of hearing aid that he gave me wasn't helping, then he didn't think any of the other ones were going to help me. So he said, you may be, what we'll try is to do I guess it's called a bicross hearing aid. And with a bicross hearing aid, you have to wear like two hearing aids, one over here and one in your good ear, which I have hearing loss in my right ear too, but it's way better than my left ear. So I said, okay, so how's that work? Or no, you put a piece over here, and then you have a hearing aid in this ear, and basically this piece is a microphone, and how it works is like it picks up whatever it sounds. It picks up on my left. It'll play them in my right ear. So that's how a bicross hearing aid works. And that was a disaster. For number one, the sound quality was terrible, and it was no good. I didn't like it at all. It was hard to get used to hearing in this ear what's happening over here. It was just a disaster. So I said, I can't wear that. I can't wear this thing. I said, what are my other options? And he said, well, the only other option would be a bone-anchored hearing aid. I said, okay, well, I'll bring it up to my doctor the next time I see him. So I went to go see him, and I said, hey, what about this bone-anchored hearing aid? They call it BAHA for short, bone-anchored hearing aid. And he says, well, that's an option. He goes, and based on the results of my hearing test, he said that might actually produce the best results for your particular case. I said, okay, well, let's do it. He's like, well, what kind do you want? He goes, there's two kinds of BAHA. There's the kind that has like an implant that sticks out of the head, like an abutment, and the little sound processor snaps onto it. Or there's a magnet one that they implant a magnet under the skin into your skull, and then the magnet just sticks on it, and the sound goes through the sound processors or into the magnet into your head. And I said, well, if I get the magnet one, can I always go to the abutment one later? And he says, yeah, we can always do that. He goes, it's the procedure is simple to change it. I said, okay, well, let's start with the magnet one. So, because I've read a lot of bad horror stories about the abutment. It gets a lot of, it's a pain to keep clean because it's something sticking out of your skin. So your skin reacts to it. Sometimes some people have bad reactions. Some people do okay with it. But I didn't want to mess around with that. So I said, let me go with the easiest route and do the magnet. So I had the went in on March of 22. Is it March of 22? March of when did I have it done? Let me see. March of 23, March of this year, or April of this year. Oh, I'm confused with my days, but yeah, so April of 23, I went in for my BAHA surgery. And so what they do is they take, I'll show you what it, this is the thing, you know, I have everything leading up to the BAHA surgery, and then after the BAHA surgery, you get a big backpack filled with stuff. Like you get the sound processor, all the stuff, like you get all kinds of stuff that came with it, but they also give you the surgery guide. Now, why don't they give you the surgery guide before the surgery so you have an idea what's going on? Because I went online trying to look up the surgery guide, and you couldn't find anything about what the surgery was like. You know, you would see a lot about the abutment surgery, but not so much for the magnet surgery. So I was like, thanks for giving this to me after the surgery. You know, a lot of help that was, but it is still good to have. So I'll show you what. So this is what the magnet looks like. And this is the little screw that gets screwed into your skull. And so basically this gets screwed into your skull, I guess whichever depth they use, and then this gets screwed onto the top of the thing. So the magnet is like laying right against your skin, and sometimes they gotta like carve away some of the fat from your skin to make room for the magnet. So, and that's what they did. That's what they had to do for me. My skin, I guess my skin was a little bit fatty, so he said he had to take some flesh off of me. So yeah, so basically for the magnet, they do it behind your ear, and they cut like a half moon shape, and then they go in, they put the post in there, and then they put the magnet on there, and then they sew it all up. And so I'll put a picture of what my post-surgical scar looked like. I'll put it up here, and then you can see what it looks like, or looked like. And you can see also where they burned the tip of my ear. I guess they had a burning tool there, or a cauterizing tool, and the technician laid it, I guess, on my body, and then whatever happened, it rolled off and it hit my ear. You can see it on the top where it like melted the top of my ear. It's all healed now, but that was like just one more thing I had to deal with. But here's the where they go in. They put the magnet, and then they cinch it all up, and yeah, and then after the surgery is done, you still can't, even though I had my sound processor and everything, I still couldn't use it yet. I still had to wait 4 to 6 more months before I could use the sound processor, because everything has to heal, you know. Matter of fact, it's still even though it's been since April, and we're now in October, it's still healing. Like the skin with where the magnet is underneath the skin, the scar and everything's healed, but I guess there's still some swelling that still has to go down. But, you know, in the meantime, after my surgery, I still had a lot of swelling and stuff like that, and Kelly and our daughter Emily, they were looking at it, and they're telling me, you know, you still have too much swelling there. You need to go see him again. I said, okay. So when I went back to see him again, and I said, you know, why is it still so puffy? It's like spongy. You know, is it supposed to be that spongy? And he's like, let me look. So I wound up having a hematoma seroma form, and that's where the blood, I guess, pools into the area, I guess, where he carved that skin away. So it basically pooled there and made a little pillow of like blood and liquid fluids. So he had to suction that out, and then I had to wait again to see if that was going to come back, because sometimes that comes back. Luckily, it didn't. So then when I finally saw him again, he's like, okay, now you're good to go. You can schedule your appointment to get the Cochlear sound processor activated, and you should be able to start hearing. I was like, fantastic. Well, then it took another month, 2 months. It took 2 more months before I could get my Cochlear thing implanted, because the way the office handles the BAHAs is that they have to, when you originally get it, it requires 2 appointment slots, right? And it has to be at 8 o'clock in the morning for some reason. So I had to wait until they had a date where they could get an 8 o'clock appointment, and then have like an 8 and 8:30 appointment for them to be able to go and do whatever they had to program it and blah, 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 blah. So that took longer than I wanted, but, you know, what are you going to do? So I finally got it. I got my BAHA, and this is what it looks like. And you can see it's a magnet. It just sticks on there. And I have the little line on here that it comes with it, so if you accidentally knock it off, it doesn't fall and hit the floor, because I've had that happen to me once. So I'm always hitting my head on everything, so I wanted to make sure it didn't fall. But they activated it, and I wasn't real impressed in the beginning. I was like, the sound isn't that great. I'm getting a lot of interference and a lot of weird noises. Like if I moved my head certain ways, I was just getting tons of feedback and tons of interference. And they're like, "Well, don't worry about it. That's probably because of the swelling. Your swelling has to come down, and it'll start improving as time goes on." I said, okay. So they set up a schedule, another appointment 3 months away, where I would go back in and they would reconfigure everything, and I guess put some additional programs on there. Like they have a bunch of different programs that you can get, like one for outside that's supposed to help reduce the wind noise, because if I was near a ceiling fan, that's all I heard was if I was outside, forget about it. It sounded like I was at the beach, when the flag was blowing in my ear. That's what it sounded like the whole time. So I was like, this is driving me crazy, but okay, I got to take one step at a time, right? Okay, good. So I went back and they put it in a couple of different programs, and it was a little bit better. I was still getting tons of feedback, and I was telling her, I was like, look, I'm getting tons of feedback, and it's really driving me crazy, and it's really making me not want to wear it. And she was like, don't worry, it'll get better. So I was like, okay. So then, fast forward to a couple weeks ago, and Emily was at the hospital. She had a schedule to get a colonoscopy, and while we were at the colonoscopy, my battery died in my hearing aid. As a matter of fact, I'll let you hear what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like. Well, first of all, the battery died, and so I was changing the battery, and this was before I started using the landline, or the rescue line. And I had it on my knee, and I opened it up, and I was putting a new battery in, and it fell off my knee, and it hit the floor, this receiver, and it didn't fall very far. It only fell from my knee to the floor, and the floor was padded. So I was like, okay, it should be okay. So I picked it up, put the new battery in, put it on, and man, the feedback was insane. It was worse than ever. Like normally, before, if I stood still like this, it was fine. It was good. But yeah, it was driving me crazy. So I wound up turning it like this, so it's vertical. You're supposed to wear it up and down, vertical, not horizontal. Vertical, because the microphones are on the front and the back, so you can hear people talking to you, like this. For me, the only way to get the feedback stopped was if I turned it so it was laying horizontal. I could still hear okay, but the microphones are pointing up and down, and that's not ideal. So I was like, well, I don't want to wear it like that if that's not the way it's supposed to be worn. So I contacted my audiologist. She says, well, it sounds like maybe you got a wire came loose in the thing. I said, okay, so what can I do? She said, contact the company, and she said it's under warranty. They'll send you a new one, and when you get it, schedule an appointment. You'll come back in, and we can reprogram it and everything. And I said, okay. So I contacted the company, and they were really good. They said, okay, we're going to send you a replacement out. First, we got to get that one back. So they said, send yours in, And when we get it, we'll take the programming off of this one, put it on the replacement, and send it back to you. It's all UPS next day delivery. So I said they sent me a box. And then I just took it to the UPS store, and they sent it. They got it the next day, and then they did whatever they did the programming. They sent it back, and then I got it in a couple of days. And so when I went and I put it back on, I was like, oh, I'm so excited, because I've grown to like it. The thing is that I've grown to like it. It's still, to be honest, it's still not the greatest for voices. I still have issues with voices, but it helps a ton with ambient noises and stuff like that. And if you take it off, then you can really hear a difference. Like, it's one of those things where you don't really know it's working until you take it off. And that's definitely the case with this. It does, but I was like, okay, I'm going to have to be a couple days without it. And I could really tell a difference those couple days. And I was really missing it. And so anyways, I get the replacement, put it on, and feedback galore. It was the exact same thing as when I sent it in. And I was like, well, I can't deal with this. So I contacted the company again. I said, look, I just got this replacement in, and I said, it's doing the exact same problem as the one that I sent in. So she said, okay, well, let me look. She said, what's the serial number on it? And I told her the serial number, and she said, okay, we're going to try it again. You send it in, and then we'll do it all over again. So they sent me a box. I sent it back in, and then I got the replacement. And interestingly enough, the first replacement, what they do is they send you refurbished ones. So even though my initial one was brand new, and I only had it for a couple months, they send you a refurbished one when they do replacements like that. So I was like, oh, I don't think it's fair, but since I only had it for a couple months, but okay, whatever. But when they sent me the original replacement, there was no sticker, nothing on it. But when I got the second replacement, there was a sticker on it that said refurbished, and there's a blue dot on the back of the processor. And there wasn't a blue dot on the original one. So I started, but then let me put it on. So I put it on, and then boom, it sounded great. No feedback. I can move my head. I can do everything else. No feedback. Before my other one, if I turn my head like this, boom, feedback. No feedback. I could hear it. Boom. It was great. I was like, I have a feeling that they sent my original one back. They must have took my original one, put the program on the replacement one, and then put my original one back in the box and sent it back to me. I wish I would have paid attention to the serial number, because I think that's what probably happened, because the original one, number one, it didn't have the blue dot, and it didn't have the refurbished sticker, which the second replacement did. So I think that's what happened. I think whoever did it, they mistakenly took my original one and put it back in the box to send it back to me, because it had the exact same problem as mine. So, but after all that, it's finally fixed, and I have it on, and it's working good, and I like it. I mean, matter of fact, I'll tell you what it's like if you can hear it. Because if anything gets near the sound processor, you get the feedback that I heard constantly. So you can hear. That's the sound that I had in my head from my original one, and it was worse after I dropped it. So there had to have been something faulty with that one from the get-go, because this one is so much better. So that is my Cochlear story. I'm still... like I said, the skin is still healing underneath, and I have another appointment with the audiologist in November, where she's going to go on and fine-tune the programming again. Like, as I guess as your skin heals, they can change some settings in there to optimize the sound quality. And yeah, so I really enjoy it. And to show you what, like, they have an app that I use. It's called BAHA Smart. I have the BAHA, it's called a BAHA Connect, or no, BAHA Attract. Attract is with the magnet, is the Attract, and the one that sticks on the abutment post is called the BAHA Connect. I have the BAHA 6 Max. That is the sound processor. And if you go into the app, it has all these, the lighting is not the greatest, but it has like my volume, and then if you click on here, here's the different sound settings. So if I click on that, so that one's when I'm outside, so I can, it helps reduce the wind a little bit. Not the greatest, but it is better over the everyday setting. Like there's an everyday setting, which is what I use. And then here's, this one is for when you're in like a crowded restaurant or something like that. And I used that one the other day when I was, we went to PJ Wheelahan's for dinner, and we don't eat in the restaurants. I get the food and I take it outside, and we usually eat it in our car. But when I went in to pick up the food, it was so loud and noisy in there, so I clicked on that so I could hear a little bit better in there, and it actually was pretty good. So, and another great thing, one of the things I really love about this thing is that I can stream from my phone to my sound processor. So I love listening to audiobooks, and so I can actually stream like my audiobook, or if I'm listening to a podcast, or if I'm anything that happens on my phone. If I get a phone call or a text, the noise comes through my thing here instead of ringing on my phone, and I really like that. Like I said, especially as far as listening to audiobooks, podcasts, and stuff like that. Music, it's not the greatest for music because it's just the sound quality just isn't good for music. But for spoken voices being streamed, it's really good. I really enjoy it. So that is my Cochlear single-sided deafness BAHA journey. If you guys any of you have BAHA, or if you're looking at getting BAHA surgery and you have any questions or anything like that, I'd like to hear your stories or your questions, and just let me know in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to answer you and hopefully give you some helpful information. So yeah, so that's it. I know it's a long one. If you watched this long, I thank you for watching. We got some stuff coming up. We just adopted out all our puppies, so that's good. We'll probably be getting more in the middle of, a couple weeks, so we'll see. And then I know Kelly's going to be putting up some more videos. So thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. And that's it. I'll talk to you again later, and bye.